Ladies and gentlemen, success is never just about skills, talent, or resources. You can have the best education, the finest training, the right connections, and even some good luck along the way. But if your attitude is wrong, all of that will collapse like a house built on sand. Attitude is the foundation that supports everything else in your life. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that defines your altitude. Think about it. Two people face the same problem. One complains, the other looks for the opportunity inside the challenge. Who grows? Who rises higher? It's always the one who carries the right mindset. Attitude is the filter that colors how you see the world. And the way you see the world determines how high you can fly in it. When you cultivate the right attitude, gratitude, discipline, resilience, you rise above the average crowd. People with the right outlook don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They act in faith, knowing progress creates clarity. And when storms come, and they always do, they don't break down. They bend, adjust, and keep moving upward. Your altitude in life is measured by your vision, your persistence, and your belief. Attitude is what fuels all three. Talent may open the first door, but attitude will decide how far you go through the endless hallways of life. So, remember, success is not reserved for the lucky, it's reserved for the prepared, and preparation begins with your attitude. Keep your spirit right, your vision clear, and your persistence unshakable. And nothing can stop you from rising to the altitude you were designed to reach. Your life is not determined solely by your circumstances, your resources, or even your current abilities. It is determined by your mindset. The way you think about yourself, about your challenges, about your opportunities, and about the future ahead of you shapes the very direction of your life. Your mindset acts as the compass that guides your decisions, and those decisions eventually carve out your destiny. You see, every action you take is born from a thought. Every decision begins in the mind. If you carry a small, limited, negative way of thinking, your actions will reflect that limitation. You'll hesitate, you'll doubt, you'll shrink back when opportunity knocks. But when your mindset is one of possibility, growth, and resilience, you'll step forward with courage. You'll try, you'll persist, and you'll rise higher than those who allowed negative thinking to clip their wings. Think of your mind like the soil of a garden. Whatever seeds you plant there, belief or doubt, faith or fear, confidence or hesitation, will grow into the harvest of your future. If you plant weeds, don't be surprised when they choke out the flowers. But if you deliberately plant seeds of strength, gratitude, and vision, your future will bloom with opportunities. Your mindset is also what determines how you see challenges. Some people look at a mountain and see an impossible obstacle. Others look at the same mountain and see an adventure, a chance to grow stronger, a path to a higher view. The mountain doesn't change, but the mindset does. And the one who chooses to see it as an opportunity eventually reaches the summit. Here's a simple truth: your mind can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. If you allow fear, self-doubt, and negativity to dominate your thinking, you'll sabotage your own potential before the world ever gets the chance to test you. But if you choose a mindset of persistence, faith, and learning, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Another thing about mindset, it determines how high you aim. Some people never aim high because they don't believe they deserve more. They live small because they think small. They settle because they assume nothing greater is possible for them. But those with a growth mindset know that every person is capable of change. They know that skills can be learned, that habits can be improved, and that the past does not dictate the future. With that belief, they dare to aim higher, and as a result, they climb higher. Your future is not in the hands of chance. It's in the hands of choice. And your choices are shaped by your mindset. If your mindset is, I can't, then you won't. If your mindset is, I will try and I will learn, then doors begin to open. It doesn't mean success happens overnight, but it does mean progress becomes inevitable. Look at successful people in any field: business, sports, art, leadership. They all face setbacks, failures, and criticism. What separates them from the crowd isn't just talent or luck, it's mindset. They see failure not as the end, but as a teacher. They see criticism not as rejection, but as feedback. They see obstacles not as dead ends, but as detours that still lead toward their vision. That kind of mindset keeps them moving forward when others quit. If you truly want to shape your future, start by shaping your thoughts. Monitor your self-talk. Be careful with the words you use about yourself. Speak possibility, not limitation. Feed your mind with positive, uplifting, growth-centered ideas, because what you feed your mind eventually becomes the script of your life. Your mindset shapes your habits, and your habits shape your results. Your results shape your reputation, and your reputation shapes your opportunities. and all of it traces back to what you allowed to live in your mind. So, the question is simple: what kind of future do you want? One of regret or one of growth? One of limitation or one of possibility? The answer will not be found in the economy or politics or luck. It will be found in the way you think. Choose wisely, because your mindset is not just shaping your day, it's shaping your destiny. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us. Things we didn't expect, things we didn't ask for, and things we certainly wouldn't have chosen. Circumstances can be difficult, painful, and at times overwhelming. But here's the truth: circumstances do not control you. What controls you is how you decide to respond to them. Two people can go through the exact same situation and end up in completely different places in life. Why? Because one allowed circumstances to define them, while the other chose to rise above them. It's not the size of the problem that matters, but the size of your perspective. Think about it: a storm comes, and the wind is fierce. One person curses the storm, hides in fear, and refuses to move. Another adjusts the sails and uses that very wind to carry them forward. The storm is the same, but the outcome is completely different because of choice, not chance. We live in a world where people love to blame circumstances. I didn't succeed because the economy was bad. I didn't grow because I wasn't given the opportunity. I couldn't change because my family held me back. But history is full of men and women who faced worse odds, tougher environments, greater disadvantages, and yet they rose above them. They refused to let circumstances be the ceiling of their lives. Circumstances may shape your starting point, but they don't dictate your finish line. Maybe you were born into a difficult home. Maybe you didn't have the education others had. Maybe you've faced loss, disappointment, or betrayal. Those things are real, but they do not have the final say. What has the final say is the mindset and decisions you carry forward from this point. Here's something to remember: circumstances can limit your options, but they cannot limit your attitude. You may not always control what happens to you, but you always control what happens in you. And when you take control of what's inside, your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, you gain power over what's outside. Let's look at it another way. Imagine your life as a ship at sea. The winds represent circumstances. They can blow in any direction at any time. You cannot control the wind, but you can always control the set of your sail. If you set it properly, you'll move toward your destination no matter which way the wind blows. But if you refuse to adjust, if you let the wind dictate your path, you'll drift aimlessly or crash upon the rocks. The difference is not the wind. It's the set of your sail. Now, that doesn't mean circumstances are irrelevant. They can hurt, they can delay, they can test you. But the key word here is test. Circumstances are not meant to define you. They are meant to refine you. Pressure builds diamonds. Heat forges steel. Resistance builds strength. If everything were easy, you would never grow. It is often in the most difficult seasons that your character is built, your vision is sharpened, and your true potential is revealed. People often wait for circumstances to change before they change themselves. They say, "When I have more money, I'll be disciplined. When I have more time, I'll start working on my goals. When people treat me better, I'll start believing in myself." But that's backward thinking. The truth is, when you change yourself, your circumstances begin to shift. Not because the outside world suddenly bends to you, but because you start making different choices, and those choices lead to new outcomes. So let me encourage you: stop waiting for perfect circumstances. They will never come. If you wait for the right conditions, you will wait forever. The right time to start improving, to start growing, to start moving forward is always now. Your future is not dictated by the challenges you face, but by the courage you show in the middle of them. When you choose resilience over resignation, hope over despair, faith over fear, you take back control. You rise above what others allow to hold them down. In the end, circumstances are simply the canvas. You are the artist. Some people look at the blank canvas and see limitation. Others pick up the brush and create a masterpiece. The brush is in your hand, not in the hand of circumstances. So remember this: circumstances don't control you. They may influence you, they may test you, they may pressure you, but they do not have the power to define you unless you give it to them. The final word belongs to you, your choices, your actions, and your attitude. And once you realize that, you'll never again see yourself as a victim of life. You'll see yourself as the architect of it. We live in a world that celebrates talent. We admire the gifted athlete, the brilliant artist, the natural-born leader. Talent shines quickly, it's visible, it draws attention, and it often creates early success. But here's the secret that most people don't realize: talent alone is never enough. What sustains success, what multiplies it, what carries you beyond the average, is attitude. Attitude is more powerful than talent. Think about it. You've probably met people who had extraordinary gifts but went nowhere. They had intelligence, creativity, or natural skill, but they lacked discipline. They lacked humility. They lacked persistence. Their talent opened the door, but their attitude slammed it shut. On the other hand, you've seen others who weren't the most talented, who didn't start with great advantages, but they kept showing up. They were teachable, consistent, and hungry to learn. Over time, their attitude elevated them above people who once seemed more gifted. Talent may get you noticed, but attitude determines whether you're trusted. Talent may earn you applause, but attitude earns you respect. And respect is what keeps opportunities flowing long after talent alone would have faded. Attitude is powerful because it governs how you use your talent. A negative, arrogant, or careless attitude wastes talent. A positive, disciplined, and humble attitude multiplies it. Talent is potential, attitude is the steering wheel. Without the right attitude, talent has no direction. Let's take a simple example in sports. You see young athletes with incredible natural ability. They score easily, they move gracefully, they dominate early games. But if they have a poor attitude, if they refuse to practice, if they don't listen to coaches, if they think success is owed to them, their talent begins to fade. Meanwhile, another player, maybe not as naturally gifted, shows up early, trains harder, listens carefully, and plays with heart. Over time, the one with the right attitude surpasses the one with only talent. The same is true in business, in leadership, in relationships, in life. Skills can impress people, but your attitude decides whether people want to work with you, follow you, or stand by you. Doors don't just open because of how talented you are. They open because of who you are becoming. Another reason attitude beats talent is resilience. Talent doesn't guarantee that you won't fail. Everyone stumbles. Everyone faces rejection. Everyone experiences setbacks. But talent doesn't always know how to get back up. Attitude does. Attitude says, this failure is not the end. It's just part of the process. Attitude says, I can learn, I can adjust, I can keep moving. Without that mindset, even the most talented person will quit when life gets tough. Here's something worth remembering. Talent is given, but attitude is chosen. You don't control the natural abilities you were born with, but you absolutely control your outlook, your discipline, your teachability. And since attitude is a choice, it's within reach of everyone, whether you're naturally talented or not. That means you always have the power to rise, no matter where you start. Attitude also affects growth. Talent can give you a head start, but attitude keeps you running the race. The person who says, I've already learned enough, stops growing. The one who says, I can still get better, keeps climbing. And life rewards those who keep climbing. Think of some of the greatest success stories in history. Many of them weren't the most talented, they weren't the smartest, the fastest, or the most gifted. But they carried extraordinary determination, humility, persistence, and faith. Their attitude propelled them far beyond what natural ability alone could have achieved. So, what does this mean for you? It means you don't need to envy the talent of others. You don't need to wish you had been given more natural gifts. Instead, focus on the one thing you can always control, your attitude. Show up with energy. Approach challenges with optimism. Treat people with respect. Keep learning when others quit. Keep going when others give up. Your attitude is the fuel that powers your talent, and in the absence of talent, attitude becomes the talent itself. It makes you resourceful, resilient, and relentless. Over time, the world cannot ignore that kind of spirit. So, yes, celebrate your talents, but never rely on them. They are just the starting point. The real difference maker is the attitude you bring every single day. Because in the long race of life, talent may start fast, but attitude finishes strong. And it's the finish line, not the starting line, that determines your true success. There's a simple but powerful truth about life: what you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they grow heavier. If you focus on blessings, they multiply. Gratitude is the difference maker. It doesn't just brighten your mood, it elevates your entire life. Gratitude lifts you higher. Many people live in constant complaint. They complain about their jobs, their families, their health, their circumstances. And the more they complain, the more life gives them to complain about. Complaint shrinks your perspective, drains your energy, and lowers your spirit. Gratitude does the opposite. It enlarges your vision, energizes your spirit, and positions you for more. Gratitude is not just saying thank you when things are easy. True gratitude is the ability to remain thankful even in the midst of challenges. It's the discipline of saying, this may not be perfect, but I can still find something good. I can still learn. I can still grow. That attitude of gratitude changes everything because it shifts your focus from what's missing to what's possible. Think of it this way: gratitude is like wings. Without it, you walk through life carrying burdens, weighed down by what you lack. But with it, you rise above difficulties, seeing opportunities where others only see obstacles. Gratitude doesn't erase problems, but it changes your position in relation to them. It lifts you higher so you can see a bigger picture. Gratitude also fuels resilience. When life knocks you down, the easiest response is bitterness. But bitterness traps you. Gratitude frees you. It allows you to say, I may have lost this, but I still have something left. I may have failed, but I still have another chance. I may be hurting, but I am still alive, still breathing, still able to try again. That spirit keeps you moving when others give up. Here's something else about gratitude: it attracts people. Nobody wants to spend time with someone who constantly complains. Negativity repels, but gratitude draws. People are naturally attracted to those who appreciate life, who celebrate small wins, who acknowledge the good in others. Gratitude doesn't just lift you higher, it lifts those around you. And gratitude is practical. It affects performance. When you're grateful, you approach your work with enthusiasm. You treat opportunities as privileges, not obligations. You handle responsibilities with care instead of resentment. That attitude makes you more productive, more creative, more dependable. And over time, people notice. They reward that spirit with trust, respect, and greater opportunities. Now, let's be clear: gratitude is a choice, not a feeling. You won't always feel thankful. Life will present you with seasons where pain, disappointment, or loss dominate the picture. But in those very moments, gratitude becomes most powerful. Choosing to say, even here, I can find something to be thankful for, gives you the strength to endure and the perspective to rise. Consider this: you woke up today. You have breath in your lungs. You have a mind that can think, a body that can act, a spirit that can choose. Those are not small things, they are foundations. Many people would give everything just to have what you already take for granted. Gratitude begins with acknowledging these basics. And when you do, everything else feels like a bonus. Gratitude also turns little into enough. Without it, even abundance feels empty. With it, even small beginnings feel rich. When you're thankful for what you have, you position yourself to receive more. Not because life suddenly changes, but because you stop living in lack and start living in abundance. That shift in perspective unlocks new energy and creativity, which naturally produces growth. History is full of stories of people who had very little yet lived with great joy, and others who had everything yet were miserable. The difference was not wealth, power, or position. It was gratitude. Gratitude transforms what you have into more than enough, while complaint turns even abundance into scarcity. So, how do you build gratitude? Start small. Each day, take time to write down or reflect on 3 things you're thankful for. Speak words of appreciation to the people around you. Acknowledge small victories, not just big achievements. Train your mind to notice blessings instead of problems. Over time, gratitude becomes your default attitude. And when that happens, you'll notice how much higher your life begins to rise. Remember this: gratitude is not weakness. It doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means seeing reality with clarity and still choosing to focus on the good. That choice gives you strength, energy, and joy that complaining could never give. Gratitude is the elevator of life. Complaining keeps you on the ground floor, stuck with the crowd. Gratitude pushes the button and lifts you to higher levels of peace, influence, and success. So make the decision today: stop complaining about what you don't have and start appreciating what you do. Stop focusing on what's missing and start celebrating what's present. Because gratitude will always lift you higher than complaint ever could. Discipline is one of the most powerful forces in life. It's the ability to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's the habit of choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. And here's the truth: without discipline, dreams remain fantasies. Without discipline, goals remain wishes. But where does discipline come from? It doesn't come from willpower alone. True discipline comes from perspective. When you have the right perspective, discipline becomes natural. When you see clearly where you are and where you want to go, you understand the price you must pay. Perspective gives you vision, and vision fuels discipline. Without perspective, discipline feels like punishment. With perspective, discipline feels like preparation. Think about a farmer. He wakes up early, works long hours, and pushes through heat and rain. To someone with no perspective, that looks like hard labor. But the farmer knows something others forget. Harvest is coming. He sees beyond the sweat and the soil to the fields of abundance ahead. His perspective makes his discipline possible. The same is true for you. If all you see is today's effort, discipline feels heavy. Waking up early, saving money, exercising, studying, building habits, all of it feels like a burden. But when you step back and gain perspective, you realize you're not just waking up early. You're buying yourself a stronger future. You're not just saying no to temptation. You're saying yes to freedom. You're not just practicing discipline. You're investing in destiny. Perspective also gives meaning to sacrifice. Every disciplined person sacrifices something: time, comfort, leisure. But when you see the bigger picture, sacrifice doesn't feel like loss. It feels like exchange. You're trading something small now for something greater later. You're trading fleeting comfort for lasting achievement. That's perspective, and it transforms discipline from drudgery into strategy. Think of an athlete training for competition. The discipline of strict diets, long practices, and intense workouts would crush someone without perspective. But the athlete keeps going because they see the finish line. They envision the medal, the victory, the fulfillment of their goal. That vision makes the struggle worthwhile. Discipline is sustained by what you see ahead. Here's another angle: lack of discipline often comes from short-sightedness. When someone lives only for the moment, they eat whatever they want, spend whatever they earn, waste whatever time they have. They see only today and ignore tomorrow. But tomorrow always arrives, and when it does, regret is the price of short-sighted living. Perspective stretches your vision beyond today. It reminds you that tomorrow will reflect today's choices. That awareness creates discipline. Perspective also helps you endure the tough seasons. When setbacks happen, when progress feels slow, discipline is tested. But if your perspective is right, you don't quit, you adjust. You know that setbacks are not the end, but part of the journey. You see beyond the difficulty to the growth it is producing. That understanding keeps you disciplined even when results are delayed. Discipline without perspective is fragile. It crumbles under pressure. But discipline rooted in perspective is unshakable because it isn't built on feelings, it's built on vision. It's built on the knowledge that the future you want will only come through the choices you make today. Now let's bring it closer. Ask yourself, why do you want what you want? Why do you want success, growth, health, financial freedom, strong relationships? When you get clear about your reasons, your why, discipline becomes less about forcing yourself and more about aligning yourself. Every action is a step toward that vision. Every sacrifice is proof of your commitment. This is why perspective is everything. Without it, discipline feels like chains. With it, discipline feels like wings. It doesn't weigh you down. It lifts you toward the future you desire. So here's the challenge: expand your perspective. Stop thinking only about how you feel right now. Start thinking about where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Imagine the person you want to become. Then realize that every small act of discipline today is a brick in that future. With that perspective, discipline is no longer about denying yourself. It's about building yourself. Remember, perspective gives birth to discipline, and discipline gives birth to freedom. Without perspective, discipline dies. Without discipline, dreams die. But with both, your life rises to heights most people never experience. So don't see discipline as a burden. See it as a bridge. Don't see sacrifice as loss. See it as investment. Because when your perspective is right, discipline isn't something you endure. It's something you embrace. And the future you build through that embrace will always be worth it.